Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight in Our News, Bahamians can say so long to travel health visas. No signs of the Omicron variant in the Bahamas so far. The former Prime Minister blasts Christmas carnival confusion, and the full rollout of free testing expected early next year. Welcome to Our News, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, in just a few days, Bahamians will say so long to travel health visas. Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper made the announcement in Parliament this morning. Government also revealed the reversal of a recent decision to impose a travel ban on 8 African countries. Jasmine Brown has the story.
The changes announced by the tourism minister means big changes for travel requirements for Bahamians and permanent residents. As he says, they're trying to make the process easy but safe. The Deputy Prime Minister telling parliamentarians that as of Monday, December 13th, Bahamians and residents will no longer be required to obtain a travel health visa when returning home from abroad.
The PLP promised to end the travel health visa for Bahamians and residents. That was implemented by the previous administration, and we are doing just that.
Cooper stressed the travel health visa will remain in place for tourists for the foreseeable future.
We believe that this provides a level of protection for the health and safety of all in the Bahamas by vetting the authenticity of documents by the travel health visa program well in advance of travel.
The elimination of the travel visa was among the campaign promises made by the Progressive Liberal Party ahead of the general election in September. However, Cooper says testing requirements will remain in place for all travelers, including Bahamians. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Darville says his ministry is finalizing exactly what those testing requirements will be for people entering the country. Dr. Darville noted that it is only a matter of time before the more transmissible Omicron variant reaches our shores. He also announced a reversal in the government's recent decision to impose a travel ban on multiple African countries as a result of the spread of the recently discovered variant.
Given the pervasiveness of the Omicron variant and the purported milder nature, the Bahamas will remove associated travel restrictions imposed on African countries that was announced last weekend. Having said that, we cannot afford to let our guard down, and active discussions are ongoing with our partners at the Ministry of Tourism, Aviation and Investments in order for us to strengthen our travel requirements for entry into the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
More evidence is needed before doctors and researchers can determine if the Omicron COVID-19 variant is more transmissible and severe than other variants of concern. Christina Dragovich explains.
We don't have any evidence of detection or any signal of circulation in the Bahamas.
Advisor for the Pan American Health Organization's Infectious Hazard Management Unit, Dr. JAIRO MENDEZ RICO, says the Delta variant remains dominant in the Bahamas and the Americas. However, he notes the Bahamas continues to submit samples for sequencing. This as Omicron has already been detected in several countries, including Brazil, Mexico, and the United States.
Until now, we don't have information to think or to infer that this variant is more dangerous. In fact, most of the cases so far have been detected in mild or even asymptomatic cases. Of course, as Dr. Adiyeri already mentioned, we need more evidence regarding clinical facts, and this information is still to be collected during the next weeks.
The United States Centers for Disease Control says Omicron will likely spread more easily than the original COVID-19 virus, but current vaccines are expected to provide protection against severe illness, hospitalization, and death. PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne warns that now is not the time to let up on known public health measures that keep everyone safe.
People may be tempted to congregate in large parties, to celebrate with extended family, to go to bars for drinks with friends, and other things that we normally do on holidays. But please let's remember that we are not out of the woods yet.
According to the World Health Organization, Omicron has been detected in 57 countries. So far, 55% of people in the region have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert MINNIS is slamming the Davis administration over the confusion surrounding who gave carnival organizers approval to set up at Fort Charlotte. Dr. MINNIS says the Prime Minister is acting like a dictator. Berthany McDermott reports.
The Prime Minister is acting like a dictator. He's acting as the most competent authority, totally independent of his minister and presumably of his ministry, because his ministers.
Carnival manager Joseph Albert expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Philip Davis, whom he said gave the okay. However, up to Tuesday, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael DARVILLE maintained that no approval was given. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert MINNIS is of the view that approval for the event wasn't given recently.
Obviously, that had to happen a long time ago because they have already mobilized such equipments, trailers, etc. It meant that they would have gotten approval through the customs, and he said that he's gotten it for all agencies, relevant agencies.
The commotion, according to Dr. MINNIS, suggests the Prime Minister is operating independently and without Cabinet's input.
He had approved it earlier, independent of his minister, presumably independent of his cabinet. So if his cabinet don't know, then obviously he's sending the message that he don't need his cabinet, he don't need his minister. And if the cabinet knew, then it meant that the minister was isolated from the cabinet, so they don't need the minister.
Despite the confusion, Christmas Carnival execs say they're gearing up for a December 10th opening. Last week, Dr. DARVILLE told Our News that while the operators had all the preliminary applications in place, the committee with purview would meet today to decide. This as Carnival rides have been set up at Fort Charlotte. And despite a drop in confirmed COVID-19 cases, Dr. MINNIS says the decision should not have been made without input from health officials.
No, we are always guided by the views of the professionals, the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health are waiting for the protocols. The Prime Minister was not concerned about the protocols.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Bahamians can now purchase their piece of the pie in Nassau Cruise Port. The Bahamas Investment Fund, in partnership with Nassau Cruise Port and Global Port Holdings, commencing the public offering of $25 million in equity in the Bahamas Investment Fund. Shares are priced at $5 each, with a minimum investment of 200 shares to participate, equaling $1,000.
The process is going to be a bottoms-up, so anyone who invests will be assured of at least a minimum of 1,000 investment. So, and then from there will be the second 1,000, the third 1,000. So we expect this to be a very successful offering based on the demand we're seeing today.
It's something they should put your money towards. Do not expect immediate returns, but something that you can grow for the future, for you, your family, and your loved ones.
Applications for investment are open until December 17th at bahamasinvestmentfund.net. Nassau Cruise Port CEO Mike Morris said with the port on track for a late 2022 completion, it's a great opportunity for Bahamians to make a long-term investment.
You should read the offering memorandum thoroughly so that you understand exactly what you're investing in, how it's going to work, and any additional details that you may need.
But the majority of this project will be done and available. And we're not going to pick a month of November 2022 to pull the curtain back off this port. As spaces become available, they're going to be occupied. And so you'll begin to see commercial activity happening long before December of 2022.
In other news, the Davis administration's nationwide rollout of free COVID-19 testing will happen in the first quarter of the new year, according to Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael DARVILLE.
Rest assured that free testing will become available to Bahamians everywhere in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and we indicated that in the first quarter. And so give us a little bit more time. We don't want to roll out something and find out there's a lot of glitches. We need to make sure that the system works and it works effectively before it being rolled out. But we are motivated to do it, and we are doing the necessary steps in order to get it done.
Free testing is one of the PLP's promises in its Blueprint for Change. A pilot program was rolled out on islands like Inagua and Eleuthera. DARVILLE said it was important to test it first before nationwide free testing could be launched.
Free testing is not something that you just roll out. There is a lot of challenges associated with it, and there has to be a digital platform in order for it to be handled effectively in real time. And so what we're doing is we're testing a lot of digital platforms, trying to find the one that's best for what we want to do.
Thanks, Kyle, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather on this warm Wednesday evening. Outside our studios right now, temperatures in the upper 70s, 77 under mostly clear skies. Your winds are very light, southerly at 1 mile per hour, and your feels-like temperature very warm and muggy, 85 degrees. On our satellite, nothing happening across the area. That surface trough that was across the northwest Bahamas has pushed out towards the east, letting up for some high-level clouds moving out of the Gulf of Mexico across our area. Ridge of high pressure at the surface remains in control, and that continues to keep our temperatures warm. We will see those conditions continuing tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, eligible Bahamians began receiving vaccine booster shots today. And is education in crisis? Find out more after the break.
Welcome to our news, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
COVID-19 booster shots are now available to eligible Bahamians, according to Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, who encouraged Bahamians to capitalize on the opportunity to get further protection from a virus that has killed more than 700 people in the country.
Beginning today, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines will be offered as booster doses. The booster dose will be administered to those who receive Pfizer, AstraZeneca 6 months after the second dose, and Johnson & Johnson 2 months after the initial dose.
The booster shot rollout comes amid vaccine hesitancy. However, Darville says he is encouraged by the recent numbers. He also stressed that not everyone will be eligible to receive the booster shot at this time.
The first phase of the booster shot rollout will be for persons 60 years and older, thank God, who are fully vaccinated, and the second phase will include healthcare providers, frontline workers, uniform branch personnel, followed by all eligible citizens and residents over the age of 18.
Hybrid learning will resume at public schools on January 11th, according to Minister of Education Glenys Hanna-Martin, who gave the date in Parliament this morning.
No child will be left behind, and that we will do all that we can and must to cause for our children to safely resume face-to-face instruction, as this mode of teaching is proven most effective and will create greater accessibility in this regard. Accessibility.
The Education Minister added that 3 schools, Sybil Strawn Primary, C.W. Sawyer Primary, and Ridgeland Primary, may not be ready to open as a result of ongoing works. She says alternative sites will be used for those students if needed. Hanna-Martin says thousands of students have never attended virtual classes, and those that do have faced technical difficulties.
The children who have been absent from school for this period will have undoubtedly suffered significant learning loss, which, if not remediated, is likely to have serious detrimental effect on the individual lives of each child and on our collective state as a nation.
Family Island Affairs Minister Clay Sweeting revealing in Parliament today that local government elections will be held next month.
Provisions can now be made to accommodate the local government election process. With that being said, elections will now be held on January 27th, 2022.
Local government elections were supposed to be held in June 2020, but were suspended under the state of emergency. Well, the University of the Bahamas and the United States Embassy signed a memorandum of understanding today, renewing the American Corner at UB's Oaksfield campus. UB's library has featured the American Corner since 2013. University President Dr. Rodney Smith said the space speaks volumes of their partnership with the U.S. Embassy.
It also speaks volumes about the embassy's and the United States government's commitment to community development and support wherever they have a presence. During the COVID-19 pandemic, extensive renovations took place to upgrade the space and make it more user-friendly and accessible. It is our sincere hope that as we continue to progress through this pandemic, that the space can be used by the UB community and the general public with the appropriate protocols observed.
U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Usha Pitt said the signing means a lot.
Have our physical library out there, but in here we have an even more kind of modern, advanced version of a library because it includes all the digital tools and technology tools that are now available to improve that exchange of information that really is the bedrock to any democracy.
When Our News returns, Fusion combines creativity with cocktails, and Kai Jones shines in the G League. The details when Our News returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. 3 artists, 2 nights, 1 unforgettable experience. Fusion Superplex is celebrating Bahamian art and expression this month during its first ever wine and arts exhibition. Curated by Jody MINNIS, Fuse will feature the artwork of Alan Pacino Wallace, Angelica Wallace-Whitfield, and June Cawley on December 15th and 16th. Fusion's marketing coordinator, Jessica Christoph, says they're excited to give artists this platform.
Fusion's newest mandate is to support local artists, whether it be sculptors, painters, word artists, or singers and dancers. This is why we decided to have Fuse. We wanted to bring the artists in and let them showcase their work so that they could make sales. So people can expect an amalgamation of Bahamian culture. We're going to have Bahamian wine and tapas, as well as Bahamian music displayed, the Bahamian art, of course, as well as we're going to tie it off with a showing of West Side Story.
Over the last decade, June Cawley has made a name for herself through her acrylic paintings depicting Bahamian women in everyday settings. She's excited to not only sell her pieces during the inaugural exhibition, but get to speak with fans of her work.
The opportunity like this is really good, especially just on the whole for Bahamian art. Of course for myself, but it's great to see the art and talk to the artists.
Visual, street, and performance artist Alan Pacino Wallace has blown up on social media, posting unique pieces made with salt, curry powder, and even coffee. His talents have been showcased internationally by Time magazine and other major publications. He shared what inspires him.
Pop culture, stuff that's happening, going on, and then you want to do something that, it's not like the norm. I didn't create salt art, but it's just another medium out there you could use. So I'm just inspired by pop culture. I'm obviously, not obviously, but I'm a believer in God, so I look to him for inspiration too.
Bahamian NBA player Kai Jones working his craft in the G League as he helps his team to a victory. Marcellus Hall has more in sports.
Thanks again, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. It's been a while since we talked about this guy, Kai Jones. After being drafted to the Charlotte Hornets, he's been kind of quiet in terms of his playing time on the NBA floor. So much so that the Hornets decided to send him down to the G League so he could continue his development there. Checking in on his latest efforts, let's see exactly how he's doing. Kai Jones continuing his development with the Charlotte Hornets, playing with their G League affiliate now, the Greensboro Swarm. They took on the Austin Spurs. Kai getting 24 minutes on the floor. He finished up with 12 points on the night. That went along with a steal. He also had 2 assists and 3 rebounds on the evening. Most importantly, they get the win. Greensboro does 105-96. Greensboro now continuing their G League season, looking to see how they will do along the rest of the way. But great to see Kai Jones getting some action here. Again, finishing up in 24 minutes with 12 points on the night. He continues to play well for that squad and perhaps could very well get a call up back to the NBA team before the season is done. And that's your look at sports here on this Hump Day Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Still to come, Greg is back with the extended weather forecast. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to Our News. A sunny weekend ahead. Greg is back with the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle, and welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. Very warm day around the islands as that ridge of high pressure continues to dominate, keeping us very dry. We had a couple of spotty showers, but that high pressure continues to keep those cloudless skies and those warm temperatures across our area. We will continue to see that trend over the next couple of days. There is a front across the southeastern United States that's going to stay at bay. That high pressure will continue to keep those fronts towards the north. But eventually, a Gulf of Mexico high pressure will slide across us for the weekend, and we will see some very nice conditions upcoming. Your boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow, your winds will be out of the northeast to east at around 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Tide is presently low, will be high at 11:23 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Wednesday. Toasty conditions expected over the next couple of days. Make sure you enjoy it. Back to you, Kyle.
Well, thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Have a good evening, Bahamas.